see where the style of different animation happens from the beginning to Neon Genesis, how really the quality of the animation, television animation, is really great as compared to the early days.
I love animation. I think it is top of the line. I think that it's decades ahead of some of its Western counterparts. I mean, if you compare shows in the early 80s that we had, Dragon Ball Z, Voltron, Thundercats, all those, to, you know, G.I. Joe or the shows that were out then, I loved them just as much, Transformers and everything, but I mean, it was just so advanced, and the artistic level of it, the angles and the movement and the action, I think was just far and away better.
I mean, I'm just smiling now. It's that childhood thing. Like, I grew up with the cell animations. It was something great, and something which I was used to. And then when the new digital stuff came in, it's amazing the stuff that they can do these days. But it's almost like they lost something as well. Yeah. Like that I don't know, it's not the magic, but
it's like a nostalgia when you look at old cell animation stuff, because you're like, oh, that's how they used to do things. And obviously it seemed to involve a lot more effort. It's like you know, when they replaced puppets and put everything in CG, it's kind of like, I missed it when it was a puppet.
It was kind of there, it was real, and even though it doesn't look as fluid as what they use CGI do, it's still something which I could actually go down to the set and touch, and it would be there.
All the animes that I watched when I was a kid, when I'm watching it now, I find it I'm surprised how I could enjoy it back then, because it's obvious that it's not as good anymore. When I'm watching it now, I'm thinking, oh, was that really the anime that I watched when I was a kid? It doesn't look as good anymore. So in that way, yes, I must say that the digital, I may be wrong, but the digital has done good to the anime rather than just normal cell based.
At first, when it was a mix of cell animation and digital animation, it was a little bit jarring, where it wasn't it was hard to distinguish what was what, and it looked a little out of place. But I think now people have gotten used to the idea of digital animation. They've come to accept it, but at the same time, there's also the old traditionalist who likes animation to be hand-drawn, and you can definitely do things with both that you can't do in one medium that you can't do in the other. And you know, I still hope that people and production companies are still choosing to do one or the other, so that both can be presented and preserved for years to come.
I think the Japanese know how to use CGI. They use it as a tool, what it's supposed to be. They're not using it as, you know, the greatest technology for animation to end all, because they use it to make maybe something that may be a bit hard in cell animation to create, like Howl's Castle. That's all CGI. How it all huffs and puffs and the leg staggers out and so forth. I mean, if you didn't know that was CGI, you just thought it was just a normal cell, but it's just small amounts.
A lot of animation process is computerized now, so it gave a significant cut on the budget and also on time on certain process. But the thing is, you know, there are certain certain stage which still needs to be done by the handwriting or manually, or that is also the very important part still for the animation.
Theoretically, it can create a better quality product in terms of the final series, but what in reality it does is it just creates more efficient means of doing it. So they just allow for the same amount of staff to be able to pump more shows out than they were before. And as a result, they push these things out, and sometimes if the volume gets too high, some things inevitably get compromised, like storyline or some other quality issues.
いいアニメってじゃあ何なのかってなった時に、売れるアニメっていうものがいいものなのか、ハイクオリティでいいものなのか、監督にいい人を使えばいいものなのか、どれも正解だし、どれだけでも違うっていうことになると思うんですね。そういう意味で言うと、どれもいいアニメを作るために必要な要素であるし、どれも欠かせないものであると思います。
In general, the best manga and the best anime series are really stories, the ones that have solid stories. If you have a weak story but great art, the fans are going to see that and they're going to say, well, the art is wonderful, but I need a story behind that. You can have, on the other hand, an outstanding story. The artwork doesn't have to be top-notch. The story will sell itself. People will still be engrossed by the story, and they'll forgive it if the artwork isn't as outstanding as something else.
Let's have some engaging characters, let's become emotionally invested in them. Let's have ourselves a few good jokes and not get hung up on gimmicks. Let's not just do the same thing. Oh wow, she's hungry in every episode! Oh, she's hungry again. She's hungry again. Oh my god. I hate that. It really bothers me. Also, it really helps, I find, if they don't spend the animation budget in the first few episodes. Because then you end up with what happened to Neon Genesis Evangelion, where people sat around a lot. And Rurouni Kenshin, which for I think about a year was the finest samurai-wielding epic you can possibly imagine, and then became this wonderful show about grass blowing in the wind and wind chimes.
時間をかけてきちんとしたアニメーションを作ることがまず第一歩だと思います。それとこれが売れてるだろうからこれを作るっていうことをしないっていうことだと思います。
Look, anime is becoming popular. Like anything that becomes popular, other companies are going to copy that because of the almighty dollar. And it makes sense. Whenever something becomes super popular, you get a bunch of imitators. And a lot of times the imitators become better than the original.
Nickelodeon has been producing their own, they call it an American anime series. It's called Avatar. And it's starting to gain recognition even in Japan as a very popular animated series.
That is a really successful series. It's taken that beautiful idea you see so often in anime of we're going on a journey. What are we looking for? Something small and inconsequential. Gosh, this is going to be great. If they're a kid, oh yeah. Or the main character's shorter than everyone else, oh yeah. We're going to go looking for something. That's terrific. That makes me really, really pleased. Yeah, as time goes on, American animation will become more and more influenced by Japanese animation until eventually, one day, the French take over and everyone's going to get eaten by Fred Astaire's shoes. That'll occur. That said, it probably should. I'm going to point it out here. Triplets of Belleville's a terrific film. That said, if anyone ever comes to my cosplay stage dressed as a character from Triplets of Belleville, I'm going to chase them with a gun, my God. Ooh.
If you start spreading the style overseas like we've got here, you're going to attract other artists, and it's not so much that you're going to get dissemination of the style, you're going to get different flavors of it. You're going to get more creative input into it.
Well, we had one of the cosplayers was from Avatar, so it obviously shows it can blend in with the traditional Japanese stuff just as well.